Hello, we're going to get started. I'm going to get started on some fun watercolor pencil flowers. These are a little bit abstract, so they aren't exactly the flowers that would be seen in a garden, but they are just kind of some fun flowers to play around with watercolor pencil. So there's 5 different designs here, and we're going to work on them, and then you'll end up making your own note card from these designs. So let's get started. We're working with Faber-Castell, the watercolor pencils. I have the set right here that of 12. If you have more, that's wonderful. That's the set that I'm working with. I'm also working with a pen. Typically, I would use a pencil. However, for a demonstration, we get to see the pen effect. So we're going to break these each down into different steps. So these are our Black-Eyed Susan. And it is a straight line, a little half circle, half moon, and then you count out your petals. So I'm doing several across so that you can see it several different times. The next one that we're gonna do is just a simple daisy or Cosmo, and it's an oval shape, and then you're counting out your petals all around. So oval, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oval, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can make this abstract or spend some detailed time going very exact. The next one that I did is a half moon going the other direction. So it's a straight line, half moon, and then your petals are coming off the top. It's the upside down version of the Black-Eyed Susan or the Cosmo. And it's pretty fun because you just really just kind of throwing some petals out. And it is the opposite of the ones on the first line. And then next we're going to do a kind of a lumpy, funny triangle. And this will help us do our butterfly bush. So it has a little peak at the top and coming down. And these are just practice. So sometimes the little peaks are nice to do, and then you come down, you can kind of imagine that you're doing a little whipped cream topping or a fluffy triangle shaped cloud. And then finally, we're going to count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little circles. I'm going to do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can do 5, 6. Now each little dot, you're going to do little petals. This makes a little cluster. And if you're in nature, phlox is a flower that comes in these little clusters, and the little lines come down and make the flower. So this is a nice flower to add into a garden picture in that it has just a nice texture to it. So you saw me do the little centers first, and then I'm doing the petals coming out. And each one comes off its own stem, so I'm going to break it down this way so you can see they all come together and then down. So it helps you do it that way. That works too. And then you can add the petals. And it comes down. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different flowers. We're going to go back and use our watercolor pencils now. When we're doing the centers, I'm going to do yellow for most of my centers first. And I'll do 3 different ones here. This one doesn't really have a center because this piece is actually going to be green. One way to do this is do yellow and then go on top with the green and then go back on top with the dark green and kind of edge it out. And that's going to give you a much better dimension. You can see the difference here. It's just straight up green. Here has a little more dimension to it. The purple flowers, which are going to be more like a butterfly, do not have any yellow center. And these little guys do have a yellow center. They're pretty little, but if you want, you can also add a little orange in there to give a little definition. Same with up here, you're going to give a little bit of an orange on the bottom section. In the picture I showed you, these also became a black-eyed Susan, so we're going to darken this up with a brown. I'm going to go over lightly with red and then back over with my purple in this set. It just will make it pop a little bit better. Depending on your pencils, play around with the color. Also, you can color the blue in around and leave your flower white. This gives you the daisy, helps pull that daisy white color out. It's kind of cute. This little guy is, again, we're using the purple. And you're just coloring straight up. I think what's fun about these flowers is they're very simple to put together, but when you put it as a whole garden, that's where you get that very interesting look to it. Again, the little shadow really helps. Also, to create a little shadow, we're going to do some blue right on that edge. You see how I'm just kind of creating an edge where the shadow would be. Really play around with layering on these. That's where it starts to become fun. For my purple flower, we're going to skim across it with the purple. Again, it's just kind of a skimming. And then I am going to go back in and add blue on my shadow side. So now it looks a little bit like cotton candy. And if you wanted to, you could add the darker blue. Is just going to give a stronger light dark shadow. So now I've got three colors. I've got the purple, the light blue, and then the dark blue. And my little flowers down here, we're gonna let those be little blue guys. These can be very sweet in a bouquet of flowers. Remember, you're the artist. You get to do this the way you want to do it. And have fun playing around with these. I am going to darken up with a little dark blue on underneath the yellow. So any of the petals that are under the yellow are going to get a little dark blue in there. Okay, I'm going to go in with the brush. I tend to go through and do all the same color, so I'm doing all my yellow first. And then I'm gonna jump around a little bit. I'm gonna get this blue painted. Once you work with a certain color, you wanna let the area rest before you paint up against it. So I did the yellow, and now I'm letting it just kind of rest a little bit before I start doing the pinks, which are right next to the yellows. Okay. And we've got these. I'm going from the light down into the dark. I'm pulling the paint down towards the dark section. Ooh, that looks good. This I'm going to start on the light side and work my way over to the dark side. Light side, and work your way over to the dark side. You see how that kind of gives a natural shadow effect by layering? It just kind of gives a little pop, and I like it that way. This one came out a little lighter, but it's just fine. And then back up here to these pink ones. Okay, and down to the blue. This I'm really just tapping the water in, and the water is melting that pencil into paint. But I'm just more tapping it because it's so little. I kind of painted very tiny. Back up to here. I jump around because it allows the different sections to dry. Now you'll notice this is a good example where the shadow helped. This is a very flat green, and this green has a little more texture to it by allowing it to have that section where it's gonna pop a little bit. And I'm adding a little brown to get a little more dark. Coneflower, black-eyed Susan. You can even go in for the black-eyed Susan and really darken that up with the black. So those are some very basic shapes. Again, when you put it all together, you get a garden. So that's what we're gonna do next, is we're gonna put this together. Pull these together and make this a really fun garden. So I'm going to start with, sometimes it's hard just to know where to get started. So I'm going to start with my butterfly bush, and it's going to be over on this side. These little points are going to represent my tops. Okay. Trust me, it's gonna work. What else do we have? We have our little pink. Let's get those guys in here. I think we'll put those in here. Okay, and then again, we talked about adding that little texture. You just did these on the practice sheet, so even though it looks busy and a lot going on, you're just taking those basic shapes and repeating them over and over again. Start with the yellow. If you don't know where to start, always start with one color all the way across. These little guys have such tiny little yellow. Okay, here's the basic pieces in here. I left the little daisies more like a daisy, so I left them white, so we'll see how that looks. I might change it, but right now that's how I did it. When I paint, I get it all in there, and then I just go back and touch the same color. So all the yellows, and then I go in and do the purples. Yeah, I think I'm gonna make that. And then my little blues. If you have a paint set nearby, you can add and enhance the color, definitely. And then here are what I want you to see is that with some very simple designs, you can make some real sweet cards that are just fun to send out. So here we have this sweet little garden. I'm going to go back in and really paint over all this green at the bottom. I want it to really blend in and be very abstract at the bottom. And then I'm also painting over all those petals that I did and filling in the green so it takes up a little more space. This is going to rest and dry, and then you can continue to add more layers and more detail. So definitely after looking at this, I'm going to add, I'm going to make these yellow. And then for some reason, I just like to add little extra swirls in. It just kind of fills up the space. And it's something I find that I do a lot. Once the paint dries, definitely go over and add some different color layering. It just really brings out the color and adds a little pop of color when you add. So right there I added some as if they're little baby buds coming, and then I'm gonna bring down a little bit just to get a little more going on in there. Watercolor pencils are about the layering and working the color so that you get some nice strong colors out of it. And then we have that tiny little bumblebee. The blue layers with the green really well, so definitely use the blue. Okay, it's a fun little picture. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you're like me, you could continue to edit and continue to add a little more to this and that. Once you get started, it's kind of like you can't stop. So it's a fun thing to do. Definitely enjoy it. Have fun. End up with a cute little card. Remember, this is what we started with, and this is how we finish. So thank you so much. And remember that you just go to lulabellshop.com, and on the art class items you can get these pieces. We'll send you the little practice sheet and lots of blank note cards for you to practice with. If you would also like the pencils, you can also get those through us also. It's lulabellshop.com. Thank you so much and have fun painting. Have a great day.